Welcome to the Write Good Books podcast, the audio companion to WriteGoodBooks.com, with your host Jason Bougger.
Welcome back to the Write Good Books podcast. I'm Jason, joined again by our co-host Scott Michael Childers. How has your week been?
My week has been good so far.
Awesome. Mine has been great too. So last time, if you recall, we talked about some tropes in fiction and said, let's make a series out of this. We still plan to do that, but we're going to put it off for a week or two and talk about some other stuff just because.
Yeah, this idea came in, and I just kind of pressured Jason to change the schedule.
Yeah.
So, blame me.
Blame Scott. No, so we thought we'd talk about, this is your topic, help me out here. Multiple problems and subplots we can throw at our character to keep things interesting.
Exactly. It's the power of having multiple problems going on to enrich your writing, or enrich the story that you're putting together. That's kind of where it comes from.
I think it's a great idea to talk about, because I see this, especially with my novels, I see the problem where I have one linear story going, and that can be boring.
Exactly. That's exactly where I'm getting at. Because I was reading something just like that. And if you have no interest in the main storyline, a.k.a. the only storyline,
right,
it turns into a slog to read it.
And with one POV character, that could really be a problem.
Yeah. So I figured, since this was fresh in my mind, I hope the readers don't mind our little diversion from our tropes suggestion.
The side quest, if you will.
Okay, now it's a trope.
So I think I'll throw out an example right away and see if this is kind of what you had in mind.
Okay.
You know, I like the Star Wars examples just because that's what my kids keep watching, so those are what are fresh in my mind. You know, you start Empire Strikes Back with Hoth, you start Return of the Jedi with Jabba the Hutt's place. Those are little side quests, if you will, little subplots that kind of expand the universe some. They don't, I guess they do directly involve the Empire on Empire Strikes Back, but...
Yeah, but it's a minor skirmish. And so we're kind of on the right track with that. It's not, oh my gosh, we've got to get Darth Vader.
Yeah.
It's, we've got to survive this assault.
Yeah.
But even in the Hoth scene, right, you have that interpersonal drama between Han and Leia. Right? You've got that going on. So it's more than just the attack. It's this interpersonal.
It builds on the disconnect that Luke has with the rest of his friends to a degree as well. He's doing his own Jedi stuff on the side while he's helping out the rebellion.
Right. So
he leaves by himself.
So we're taking these little things, these multiple little conflicts, and using that to enrich characterization. And in this case, it's drive part of the plot from one of the POVs. But yeah, those are some examples that of what I was trying to suggest.
I like to say, to keep things interesting, make sure every scene has conflict in it. And that's another way to continue adding conflict to your story. Yeah.
The conflict doesn't necessarily have to drive the plot if you're doing something else that's interesting, like the characterization or world building a little bit, right?
Because you do want to make sure that every scene has a purpose.
Right.
You don't want these side plots to be something that could be cut and the reader wouldn't notice. So if you do some essential character building in these scenes or essential world building.
Right. Let's take for an example. So you're in a fantasy series, right? And, okay, so we've got the big bad, whatever it is. Evil king, evil sorcerer, evil eye in the sky, evil mushroom, whatever. You're trying to get that. Well, yeah, that's one story, but what about the main character if they up and leave? If you're reading The Hobbit, right, or The Lord of the Rings, okay, you've got that group of people leaving and the interactions between them and the sneaking out type of thing. So that's one thing. Then you've also got the whole Aragorn storyline, right? It all ends in the same place, but you're enriching characterization and you're doing some world building in each one of those. I don't know if that explained anything. Really.
No, that's perfect, especially with multi point of view characters, it gives your secondary characters a chance to shine as well. With one point of view character, I suppose that's a little more difficult to kind of take them off on side projects.
Yeah, there's one book I read. It was a single point of view, and it was, if you follow the main plot, straight up, go get the big bad, kill the big bad, story is done. But what made it interesting were all these detours that the main character had to go through. Oh, well, I need to go over there. Oh, wait, I've been kidnapped. So I got to deal with this kidnapping. But in that kidnapping, you got to see another part of that world. You got to see how this character thought about this situation, grew, learned new skills, and then came back to the main plot thread, right?
Yeah.
And various other things. Oh, I've got to deal with, I'm not known as a hero. I'm known as a civil servant. And when I go back home to get, deal with stuff, I'm still seen as a civil servant. I'm not a hero. So how do I deal with all of that? And job issues, right?
Yeah, it's a great tool for taking your main character out of their elements and exploring other things.
Right, and I found that really enjoyable because it gave you those little spots of growth, little spots of progress as well. So it wasn't just like, oh, here we are on day 47 of the plot to kill evil Monster Man.
Yes.
Right? We've got something, we've accomplished something. We're still working on the big issue, but there's still these moments of accomplishment, moments of growth, moments of interesting things going on without sacrificing that big plot thread.
Yeah. And this is a good time for my weekly complaint about the final book of the Stephen King's Dark Tower series. That's what I hated so much about that final book. He killed off so many of the interesting characters that last book is mostly just the remaining characters walking to their destination, talking about nothing. And so, yeah, it did get boring, at least to me.
So that's good. Having these little conflicts. I know it kind of sounds against what we've said before, where every scene needs a purpose, right?
Yeah.
We said it earlier today, even.
Yes.
But those other scenes are adding flavor and creating a story that is yours as opposed to another retread of the hero's journey or of one of the big monomyths, right?
It really does give you an opportunity to make sure your character's not one-dimensional.
Yeah.
If your character just has the one goal in their head and that's all they do is push for that goal, pull them away from that goal and have them do something else for a little bit.
Yeah, I will say that sometimes this takes a little bit of thought and a little bit of skill, right, to do it well, so it doesn't just sound like someone's hitting shuffle on a CD player.
Oh, yeah.
Thread of the week type of thing.
You also don't want to anger your readers if they're really involved in your overlying plot, and then you pull away from that and have some filler episodes of X-Files. I'd hate it when they do the Monster of the Week episodes. Another dated reference.
Yeah. It's dated.
It's dated.
But anyway, let's spend a little bit of time with the characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not only were there Monster of the Week side quests type things, but there was also internal stuff, right? The dealing with the emotional baggage of I'm the only one who knows, and why is my partner so nuts? And even though it wasn't explicitly, what's the word I'm looking for, dealt with in those little bits and pieces, those were sources of conflict. Those were sources of revelation for character pieces. And so having a character that has to deal with a physical issue, right, might be a good choice. I'm not saying make them one-armed just for the heck of it,
Right.
but it adds another side to a character that may be unique and may be exploring new ground.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're getting the point across. We're not saying you need to write a whole extra book worth of side stuff, but it is worth maybe spending a little bit of time to explore other parts of the world or other facets of the characters or even the relationships between the characters.
Yeah.
Setting up some sort of side event, side conflict, even if it's minor, can help establish those relationships. And And why do you want to do that? Why do we want interesting worlds? Why do we want interesting relationships, right? We want to build empathy for our protagonist usually. We want something that makes us invested to follow this person through the big story. And sometimes we have to use these little stories to build that empathy because there's no room for certain types of revelations in the big plot thread. If you must save the world, you don't have a lot of time in that specific thread to talk about why you should even care about this person. Yeah. Are they funny?
Or if you should even care about that world.
Yeah. Yeah, is this character funny? Is this character worth cheering for? Or maybe you're going the other way. Is this character worth you hating and then feeling great when they are redeemed at the end? Well, how do you get there?
Yeah.
Little revelations can tell a big story. And that's why multiple problems give you a chance to have those little things.
Yeah, it's just another good tool to use to add depth to your characters and keep them from just being boring and one-sided. And I keep going back to it, but conflict is so important. And I just keep thinking about that because I pulled out some of my old short stories that have never been published. And I look at them and say, why has this not been published? And I read it and I say, I see, because it's boring. It's just, here's a guy doing a thing, and then at the end he either does or he doesn't. You need more ways to add depth and add character. And I say, if he'd be doing something else so we could see some other parts of him and make him more realistic. Because even though we read and write to escape reality, we need to write reality because reality is what people need to believe in.
Well,
to be the philosopher.
Okay. The feelings and emotions need to be real.
We need the feels.
Yeah. Great. We need all the feels. But no, we need that type of pointers to connections.
Yeah.
And those type of things. And we can still escape by watching someone have issues like that. But yeah, it's really that type of...
we don't... A character's real not if we see that character wake up and brush his teeth in the morning. He's real if we see how he interacts with his mother-in-law. Not talking about myself.
Yeah, I have no idea how you get it.
It's those little details we see on the side to help bring the characters to life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you touched a little bit about short stories. Mm-hmm. If you're writing short stories, then some of today's advice is not going to be that helpful.
Right, it depends on the length of the short story.
Right. Yeah. Because short story, you're telling a slightly different message, and you're really more focused on other parts of writing than character growth and world building usually. Right. But still, even in a short story, having a small little detour could set up some more empathy or actually kind of set up a really good twist ending by having something foreshadowed in a side bit early on. So just because if you're not writing a novel, still think about these little side bits, multiple problems, even in a short story, to flesh it out.
Yeah, in a short piece like that can even be done in a throwaway sentence or two in some cases.
Yeah.
So
just to brainstorm, some basic side problems that character might be dealing with. One, a job or social standing in their current culture. Are they a prince? Are they a pauper? Are they the postman? Are they the shopkeeper? Are they the local librarian? Job-related issues, personal issues, relationships, spouse, love interest, family, in-laws, neighbors. What's Homer's relationship to Flanders and to Lisa's relationship with Milhouse, just to use some Simpsons things. You've got internal issues, emotional issues, like, maybe this person is dealing with the loss of a loved one. Maybe this person is dealing with some sort of disability. Maybe this person is dealing with a recent injury. Starting out a major quest with someone who's already injured. Okay, that's a unique start. Well,
yeah.
And also, so you're talking about these things. You're talking about how the culture reacts with these types of issues, right? You're talking about how this person relates to everyone else. You're building a world in these little bits. You don't have to use all of them. But, pick and choose a couple. Was there anything that I did not mention with that big list?
No, I got it. I think you covered it well. It's it's a little different than character flaws. It's more like character obstacles.
Yes, yeah, that's a really good way of putting that. So, and isn't our story watching someone get past obstacles? So.
Yeah, that is the whole point, isn't it? Throw the character in a tree and throw rocks, right?
And then get the chainsaw.
Yeah.
But while they're up there in the tree, maybe there's a cat up there with them, and they have a nice little conversation.
Yeah.
Or the squirrels decide to come out and attack.
Yeah, make that reader care about the person in the tree.
Yeah, or the squirrels if they really hated that character.
Yeah. Fun stuff. So I guess we're at a good place to stop. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've run that problem.
Our divergence is done, and we'll probably be back on tropes next time, depending on the feedback.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah. And you can let us know at writegoodbooks.com/podcast. Send us some feedback. Check out some old episodes. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, help us out. Like and subscribe. And if you'd like to support us in other ways, check out patreon.com/writegoodbooks. And until next time, see you later.
See ya.